Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central, and here's your host, Bob Hickey.
Welcome to another great edition of Foxborough Central. That's right, I'm Bob Hickey, your host. Thank you for taking a little bit of time to sit with me as we talk with the folks, people, things, events that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. Today I have a great group of people. I was going to say kids and adults, but it's a mix. Foxborough Interact Rotary Club. It's a local club that is affiliated with, not sponsored by, Foxborough Rotary. And joining me today are some great representatives, I imagine. We've got Lewis Gordon. Lou, nice to meet you today.
Morning, Bob.
And you've brought with you Tom Donnelly.
Hey, it's good
Tom,
to see you.
What is your role out there?
I'm the president of our chapter of Interact.
Excellent, excellent. And Allie Fisher, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm the head of the community service projects in our group.
Okay, then very good. And of course, I've seen both of you all over town doing multiple things with volunteerism, McGinty Fun Day, Scout, everything. So I feel as though I kind of know you. Lou, is my first time with you, so this is going to be a great opportunity for me to meet you, for the community as a whole to meet everybody.
So thank you.
What is, and I'll go around the horn, I'll start over there. What is Foxborough Interact?
Well, it's a youth-oriented service organization for youth that's affiliated with the Rotary program in general, Rotary International. But we don't run it and we don't manage it, so I'd really like to let the kids describe it.
Fantastic. All right, young adults.
Well,
what is Foxborough Interact?
To me, it started up a few years ago in Foxborough, and we can get into that later, but to me, it's more of an opportunity to live by a few morals that they put out, one of them being service above self. The other one, which they don't state, is really to give opportunities to kids, teens like us, to get some experience in the world where there's opportunity, but most of the time we don't really realize it's there. So for leadership or just planning, we get so much good experience from this club that it's more important to me to have that.
Fantastic. So that's excellent. That's the meat of the conversation. So let's touch on the focal point of the club itself first. So with service, what did you say, service?
Above self.
Above self. What does that mean?
It just means letting go of your own needs and focusing on the needs of others, which as a human being is difficult and it's against our nature, I think. So we have a goal of doing 2 community service projects a year and 1 international project, which I think is really cool because having that goal pushes us to go beyond our goal, and it's awesome. Okay,
so there's a set number of, so there's a target.
Yeah.
And how many members do you have right now in Foxborough Interact?
We have about 16 members right now.
Okay. Is this a high school club? Or it's a club outside of high school?
It's a community-based club. We have members, the majority is from Foxborough High School. We have some members from the charter school and Bishop Dean and just the surrounding towns as well. Okay,
so it's not a Foxborough High School club. It's a community club that anybody can join between the ages of
12 and 18.
12 and 18. Excellent. So, service above self and a set number of targeted community service projects locally and?
Locally and internationally. Yep.
So tell me about an international one before we hit local.
Well, we have a minimum requirement of 1 international project a year. And what that basically means is, while community service projects are very important, international projects require more time and more planning, more funding, just because of their nature of we have to send supplies or whatever opportunities we seek in other countries. It just takes a little more time. So, and it also goes back into service above self and a more global perspective than what we usually have.
Now, Interact Rotary is an international organization, correct?
Absolutely. Rotary itself is an international organization, and the individual Rotary clubs, there's 32,000 of them, I think, around the world, and there's, I don't know exactly how many Interact clubs there are, but there are probably 20,000 of them around the world.
So Rotary
So it is an
going
international
strong.
organization. There are a lot of
Yes.
contacts, yeah.
So Rotary is going strong, and then Interact Rotary is a great way to bring to the younger folks that service above self and the concept of what Rotary is about.
That's right. Well, the concept of what service is about. And the idea of giving back to the community and recognizing that the world's a little bigger than just your own private day-to-day.
And of course, the younger you can start folks realizing that, the better it is for
Right.
them as far as maturing and
It's a complicated world, and the
Yes.
more people, the sooner they start learning the complexity and the way they can make a contribution, the better.
And of course, being a complicated world, it's a whole other program, but we'll get to that some other time. So with the international piece of it and being International Rotary, what was the project that you could say over the last 2 or 3 years internationally that you participated in, raised funds for? And I assume you don't do it all on your own. You're not. It's with maybe an affiliation with other, or in conjunction with other Interact Rotary clubs, or is it a sole standalone project that you would do?
We do our own projects.
Okay.
And I'd say the most meaningful project that we did internationally was sending shoes to Guatemala, because we saw a slideshow of some of the people that received the shoes that we sent, which was really special.
Nice. So, and of course, that incorporated fundraising as well. You didn't just get the shoes and put them in a box and send them away. There's a lot to it then. Excellent.
It was a pretty complicated circumstances because the mailing system in Guatemala is very widely known to be riddled with thieves. So anything you send in the mail, be it money, shoes, crayons, anything is likely to be stolen. So we had to ensure that the people who were going to take our supplies were going to ensure that it got to the people we were intending it to get to. So a lot of planning went into that.
Oh, very good. And it did.
Yes.
Okay. You saw a video of it. Nice. Evidence is good. I would guess that was a pretty intense project. Then how many people worked on that?
Well, last year we had about, I'd say, 25 members, and among the, we worked as an entire club towards this. Yes, this was around spring last year.
So we're going to get into some more reasons why people should join Interact Rotary. But before we do that, let's put it out there now. To join Interact Rotary, and they have a very nice brochure that I'm not going to hold up to the camera because, well, I will hold up the camera because that's the way I am. But we have a very nice brochure. If people wanted to get in touch with you or get in touch with Interact Rotary, how would they do that?
They could always email us. We can give our emails, as well as we have meetings on the 1st and 3rd Monday at the YMCA at 7 o'clock. And anybody,
the YMCA here in Foxborough?
Yep, and anybody is welcome to show up to any of those meetings. It's a completely open club, so.
Okay.
We are all-inclusive. Well, we are focused, like the majority of our members are in Foxborough High School. We are open to anyone. I can provide an email that can be sent out, any contact. We're very much open to getting members.
Okay. Or there's a website, I believe. It's interact@rotary.org. Oh, that's the internet. I'm so bad with this. People who watch Foxborough Central, they just know that I'm not a technology guy. So I really depend upon you to tell me how to tell you. They log on to the internet at www.rotary.org and click on the Interact link, I'm sure.
The Foxborough Rotary Club has its own website, foxboroughRotary.org.
foxboroughRotary.org.
And through that website,
So the
you
old
could,
way or the new way?
The new way,
The easy way.
yes. And through that, they could get in contact with this specific club. The sites they're listed in the brochure are, the international organization that didn't zero down in it to this particular club. But through the high school or through reaching out to the Foxborough Rotary Club, they could certainly find out about it. Or, as Ali mentioned, just coming to the Y.
Okay, and that's on the 1st and 3rd?
Monday at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, see?
Well, it's every 2 weeks, not necessarily just 1st and 3rd, right?
True. So far this year, we've had it 1st and 3rd months exclusively, but as with the vacation coming up, we do our best to attune our dates and our meetings to when everyone can come.
Okay.
So
you try to make it work for everybody. And
Yes.
you have youth from other school systems coming in. You mentioned KP. So it's all inclusive, and it sounds like it's a real positive. Now, do you limit your local, so I knew we'd come back to the local stuff. Do you limit to Foxborough, or do you reach out to other communities also, as far as your service projects?
As our service, we began 2 years ago, and in the past, I think we've tried to incorporate the surrounding Norfolk County for our projects, and I believe that we should start outreaching. Like, we have yet to do a combined project with another Rotary Club, but there's one in Mansfield, which is very close. Sharon.
Okay.
Places. But
And Ellie organized an effort at the food pantry.
Mansfield Soup Kitchen.
Mansfield Soup Kitchen, so it's
Okay.
not just limited to Foxborough.
Great, great. Well, tell us about the Mansfield Soup Kitchen. What did you do?
It
I
was
love hearing about projects.
yeah.
I'm an old JC myself, so I really get a kick out of hearing other projects and the logistics that went into it.
Yeah.
You know, it all sounds fluffy. Oh, we just gave it a soup kitchen, but everybody knows or should know that so much more work goes into it than just doing something. So.
Yeah, it was a day off from school, and so I went, and I was actually the only representative of Interact because so many people were busy on their day off. But while we were there, we served a lot of people, and we put together bags of goods to hand out to them, and we actually gained 2 new members from Mansfield.
Really?
Because I met 2 girls there, and they wanted to join, so it was a really good experience.
Well, that's a big part of recruitment, is just getting out there and letting others see that, hey, this is something cool that you can come in and do also. And I hope that's part of what we're doing here today. So what cool thing have you worked on that would say to little Johnny, who's 13, and say, I really want to join?
well, I think the coolest project that we've done so far was our first international project, and we got an amount of school supplies and made up backpacks and sent it to a school in Afghanistan.
Really?
To me,
A girls' school.
A girls' school in Afghanistan, and I thought that was I don't know, most important to me because schools. I think education is very important, and to promote that around the world is just another.
Well, particularly as they're rebuilding their infrastructure and,
Yeah.
and trying to change a culture of oppression on women's rights and education. We all hear that, and it's not just specific to Afghanistan, and there's issues everywhere. But what a really sharp project. So the work that went into that, how many man hours, how many people, how much money? I mean, it's not just a matter of sending a few books over, I'm sure.
Well, it actually did take a lot of hours. I know that we had to start with getting the project idea, and once we made contact with someone who was going to Afghanistan, we said, well, we like this project idea, so let's start getting some money. And so we did fundraising. Like, one example was we did canning in front of the Dunkin' Donuts right next to Dairy Queen.
Okay.
And we eventually raised enough money to buy school supplies from the local CVS and Job Lot and Staples, and we got many donations from there, like a $50 credit card. And we eventually built up a few backpacks, enough supplies to send off to the country, and in total it probably was about 20 hours with everyone. And for high schoolers to take that much time out of their schedule was really impressive to me.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, with Interact Rotary being an international organization, certainly there's opportunity everywhere to learn about these types of projects and to get a sense of who needs what. Do you ever have interaction with other Interact Rotary clubs elsewhere? You mentioned Sharon has a one, so I'm sure you're I don't know if you give support, but you do interact at times. But what about internationally? Do you have a sister organization?
We don't as of yet. Interact is a relatively new group in general.
Is it? Okay.
And we actually went on Saturday to a Rotary conference for the new generations, which includes the Interact group. And we learned a lot about how to reach out to other groups, and we're going to start having like district meetings with several other Interact groups and representatives from each one to work on projects together. And so maybe in the future having a sister group in another country is something we could do, but as of yet it hasn't happened.
So when you say relatively new, how new is relatively new?
The club here is relatively new. It's been in existence for 3 years, but Interact as a entity in itself in Rotary is much older than that.
But it does sound very impressive. If the club's only been here for 3 years and you've done this number of international projects, that's pretty impressive. Let's talk local. What are some of the, mentioned Soup Kitchen. What are some of the other local projects that you've been working on? Or if Johnny now says, hey, I want to do something really cool here in Foxborough, what can we tell Johnny?
Well,
Or Susie, I don't want to be gender, I don't want to be obnoxious.
Johnny and Susie are both welcome.
Susie and Johnny are standing right there behind the camera and they say, hey, Tom Donnelly with Foxborough Interact, as your president, what can you tell us to come and join?
Well, just for convenience, I'm going to call you guys Sams. Well, one easy little ideas we've had in the past, we've, like during the fall, we've raked leaves for just the elderly around town, and we just went from house to house one weekend raking leaves. We just asked for donations, and people were very generous. Mm-hmm. We've also had some community ideas of serving, like, eventually the snow is going to come. So we...
As much as I can hope it doesn't.
But if it does, we have an emergency contact list, so we could get a group of our members together to hopefully shovel around town and provide them on the same amount of service. We've also had talk of, like, Founders Day. We could we have opportunities to set up booths. We can partner with the Rotary, and there's just a plethora of opportunities we've had that we've done and we're planning to do.
And the Doolittle thing you did just a few weeks ago.
You want to talk about that?
Tell us about the Doolittle.
We helped out at the Doolittle home. I was unable to attend the actual event, but I did bring brownies, so I know that...
Hey, not for nothing, but that's key in my book, so, you know.
So,
We've done that more than
what
once,
was your
actually.
experience there like?
So tell us about the friendship with the Doolittle home. It's
Well, for 2 years now, we have visited the Doolittle home. We've brought in a few of our members and just had a nice afternoon with many of their residents. Really, it was just hanging out. We enjoyed our time.
But that's so important. And Doolittle Home is such an institution here in Foxborough. For those who don't know, it's a retirement living home, nursing home on Baker Street, and they really enjoy having people come in and visit. What a trip. They're neighbors of mine. I live on Baker, so it's nice to see the folks coming in and doing things like that. So that's very good.
One of the things that was most fascinating to me about that visit was that we learned that one of the residents there had participated in the Nuremberg trials as a translator, which was just amazing to make a connection to something that significant in the history of the world, and to have the kids exposed to someone who had been in such a pivotal event.
And that's an unintended lesson.
It was unintended. It was amazing. The kids were hanging on every word this woman had to say. It was amazing.
Well, there are a lot of fascinating people, which is why it's always a great idea to get out and meet people. So Doolittle Home is a treasure trove of experience.
And there's plenty of experiences and opportunities.
I'm going to try to match you big word for big word today. You toss plethora out there. I'm going to work on this.
You get 2 points for plethora.
That's right.
Just don't ask me what it means.
You use it in the proper context. I was impressed. So, with participating in an organization like this, speaking of unintended lessons, there are lessons unintended and intended. What are some of the things that you're gaining? Socialization, you're meeting new people, meeting people who are going to be leaders, I would think, because participating in this type of organization teaches community involvement, leadership of projects, and understanding the greater world and needs and how we as people fit in. We get all that, but what have you taken away from it, Allie?
I think definitely just being around other teenagers that are as service-oriented as I am. I know it's something like I plan on being a lifetime Rotarian and always having it be a big part of my life. And I think being around other kids that see those goals as well, because so many kids in high school just don't pay attention to the rest of the world, and to be in a group where every person there cares on some extent is really, really nice.
Great. A lifetime Rotarian. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, I can't promise the future, but I can promise my best. And from what I've learned from the Interact Club so far was it's just good fun. they're my friends in the club, which is usually why I kept going over the years. And something it taught me, the hour that I spent every 2 weeks at the club was a lot more meaningful and a lot more helpful to the world and a lot more important to me than just sitting around playing video games or just watching TV, which is what I used to do. So I found a lot more.
I'm going to hold you right there. I'm going to hold you right there. All right. I mean, God love you, Tom, but I've known you since Cubs, and I've known you not to be the one who just sits at home all the time.
I was about to say that he's being a little modest here.
Yeah, this is on video, and the magic eye over there has just caught you in a fib, and that's not right. That's not good, Tom. Okay, we're going to talk to Allie now since you're being So you sit home all the time and play video games also. So the reason why I'm joking about this is because I've not met you before formally, but I have seen you at so many projects out and about doing, working with cans and just all over town. So I've a lot of the people who are in the high school and who are leaders and who do this all the time, you kind of feel second nature that you know these folks. So I've always seen you two out doing things. So this is a great way for you to sort of formally, I don't want to say formally club it up, but it's definitely a great way to share what you do and make it a more formal approach. Yeah. So how did you become community oriented in the first place? Are you going to blame your parents?
A lot of it did have to do with my parents. My mom has always volunteered a lot, and my dad always says he believes in good, and he's been a huge influence on my life in that way. And I've grown up going to church, and I did a lot of community events with that. And when I heard about, well, actually my mom heard about Interact and told me about it. There was an ad in the paper when it first started, and she said, you have to do this. And I said, okay, and been there since. So.
And you've been a member for?
Since it began.
Since the beginning.
So we're on our third year.
Okay. Yeah. And how long have you been a member, Tom?
Since the same time. I have to agree. It's because of my mom that set the example. And also, my mom saw the ad and thought, hey, college is coming up. So 3 years ago, we went to the initial meeting, and I liked the vibe, so I kept going. So I have to say, initially, it was just that a few of my friends were in the club, and a lot of the people that I respected, like our first president, Kevin Egan, who was a senior at the time, I respected him a great deal. And when he ran for president, I thought, oh, maybe I should stick around. So really, it was initially for my parents and my admiration for a few people who really deserved it.
So now we're hitting on the two key pieces of why people would want to join. It's fun, and it does teach some leadership skills. And as you're both getting ready for college, on the application, GPA is one thing, but there's a huge piece, and I understand now there's essays to be written about community involvement and how you've given back. And I know that for years I worked on the McGinty scholarship committee, and that scholarship was given solely based upon community involvement and giving back to the community. So there's such a huge focus on that now, particularly in high school. How is this going to help you in your next? Are you a senior or junior this year?
Junior.
And you are
junior.
Junior. So you've both got one more year to bulk it up. I know the finish line is ahead, but little do they know that it's just the start of another race.
Yeah, it's just the dawning of a new day.
That's right. So how's Interact Rotary, how has it helped you with this?
Again, with the relationships and like the good times and the helping, and definitely with writing applications, I'll have things to write about, because I think a lot of people want to help, but they don't know where to start. And so I think this is a good starting point to get yourself out there and get involved.
So if folks are watching at home, just a quick reminder, if you are a youth between the ages of 12 and 18 and would like to get involved with a great dynamic group of kids who help out and have a good time doing it, you should log on to www.foxboroughRotary.com.
.org.
.org. Like I said, www.foxboroughRotary.org, and find out more about Interact, or show up at the YMCA on the first and third Monday at 7 p.m. And if it's not the first and third Monday, they should call the YMCA. Will have a schedule also.
And for any opportunity, our next meeting is next Monday.
And since this time is never time specific, because we are going to be on repeats, and we're also going to be on www.fcatv.org. Click on the Foxborough Central link, and you can watch this and all the other fantastic episodes. See, I stopped there before you stuck a date out there. Wasn't that cool?
Yeah.
See, the way as the host, I can lead this. This is really good. But it's a great opportunity to come out there and meet people. So, Tom, your aspirations, how is Foxborough interacting? You're the president, so you obviously have embraced the leadership role, and some others must have recognized that since they elected you to be president. So how has this last year as president been for you?
Well, I have to say, above all, it's been a learning experience. You know, initially I went into the club, we begin with the school year, and I realized, wow, this is going to take a lot of work, and it got me excited. And we had our first board meeting, and I felt pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I realized that once I started pushing people in the right direction, they really took off. Like, we split up into a certain amount of committees, and each committee just started off on their own projects, and now we already have a project done, and we're working on our new international and new community projects. So give an inch, they take a mile. So it's really been big.
Well, Lou, sounds like we're also teaching management skills.
We are, and a lot of the benefits are subtle. The kids get experience in doing things that they wouldn't have the opportunity to do in other ways.
So this seems as though it's a member-led club.
Oh, absolutely.
There's not a lot of absolute definitive direction from Mama Rotary. It's all about them.
We haven't, absolutely. It's a student-led, they raise their own money, they decide on their own activities, and they organize their own efforts.
Which makes it all the more impressive, because
in the background,
it truly is member-driven.
Provide some logistical support and encouragement, and a connection with an international organization that can give them backup and resources that they might not purely have.
There's a benefit to being affiliated with such a strong organization as Rotary. And so,
for example, there are several programs within Rotary that are affiliated with this. One of them is a student exchange program, for example. That's part of it. Ali's interested in that.
Really?
And there are other youth-oriented programs within Rotary. So all of this ties into a network of things that supports the kids, the leaders of tomorrow, to be.
So now there's a fourth top point. So tell me about the student exchange program.
There's a short-term and a long-term program. The long-term is a year, and the short-term is 3 weeks. 3 weeks in the other country, and then the person that you stay with comes and stays here for 3 weeks. So this summer, I hope to go to South Africa for 3 weeks and have a girl from South Africa come and live with me for 3 weeks as well.
Wow.
So I'm really excited.
That sounds pretty sharp, yes. Fantastic. Wow, that was unexpected. I did not know that. So that sounds pretty cool.
There's also an event in the spring called RILA, which is a youth-oriented weekend down at the Cape, where the kids come down and engage in a weekend of team building and leadership development activities that's open to kids from Foxborough. They can apply to attend that, and that is funded. That's a free program for kids.
Really?
That's the cost of for the kids to attend that is borne by the Foxborough Rotary Club.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So it sounds like under the old all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. It sounds like you do have some opportunities to play a little bit. So that's good.
We play.
You play. It's a fun organization to get involved with.
I do enjoy fun.
Okay, so being that this is a school year type club, do you do a lot during the summer, or the summer's mostly off?
The summer's off.
Okay, so that makes sense, because with it being school age based, that's our time frame. Fantastic. So during the school year, I imagine at the beginning you plan out what the year is going to come. So this being 2012, what do the coming 6 months have in store?
For community projects, we've been talking a lot about possibly going to a shelter for veterans in Boston, and so a lot of them have PTSD, and it would be a really special experience.
That'll be a good learning experience, as well as something important to do.
Yeah.
Excellent.
For the remaining international project, I know that our next meeting we will have a finalized decision on what it will be, and for the rest of the winter, we will plan and fundraise, and then we plan to have execution of said project, whatever it may be, in the spring. And very excited for this one.
And I know that your winter is going to be very busy with the caring for senior neighbors with shoveling and that sort of thing. So sounds, half hour goes by so quickly here. I'm going to, one last time, give a shout out to Interact Rotary. If you want to join or you want to learn more about them, log on to www.foxboroughRotary.org and check out the Interact link. If you are between the ages of 12 and 18 and you want to meet some fine, fantastic leaders and other kids your age who maybe are into community service such as you might be, come to the YMCA, the Hockomock YMCA on Mechanic Street on the first or third Monday at 7 p.m. Just walk in, right? You don't have to have a secret handshake or any super...
Well, we'll tell them the secret handshake after they join.
Excellent. Any last words, Allie?
It's a great place to come and a lot of good people and good work.
Excellent. Tom?
Thank you for having us on the show, and anyone's welcome, all-inclusive. Come on down.
Beautiful. And Lou?
They've said it all.
Excellent. Well, if they haven't said it all, I will say it at the end. So, thank you everybody for taking a few minutes out of your busy day to sit with us, my friends, Lou Gordon, Tom Donnelly, and Allie Fisher with Foxborough Interact. If you would like a copy of this or you'd like to link it up to your fun page, log on to www.fcatv.org. Click on the Foxborough Central link or call us here at the studios at 508-543-4757. On behalf of all the volunteers, Gary Nash behind the glass, Ruth Mackey behind the camera, along with Deb Storrs and Paul Kukin, I'm Bob Hickey, your host. Thank you once again for taking the time out to watch Foxborough Central. Have a great day, Foxborough.